Hey everybody, welcome back to In Bed with the Millennial. I'm the Millennial Javeda Bay, and this is my bed. And you know what I'm about to say. We're still going talking about STIs because it's still STI Awareness Month. And today I want to talk about what to expect when you actually are going to go get STI tested. Because if you've never done it before, it can seem a little scary. You're like, I don't even know what they're going to do. So I want to help you out. So let's get into it. So STI testing can look different depending on where you're going to get it done. So if you're going into your doctor's office, it generally follows the same path. But if you're doing it at home, it can look completely different because at-home kits are sold for STI testing. You can get some through Dame as well as... who else sells them? There's a few. I'm going to drop it in the comments on the different brands that you can go to get at-home testing kits. But if you're going into a doctor's office or like a clinic that does free STI testing or whatever it is, it should look a certain way if they're doing the full spectrum of testing that they should be doing. And so it usually starts with you come in, you do the check-in and everything. And then they're like, cool, we need a urine sample. So you'll go into the bathroom and you will fill up the cup. So it's important that one, you're drinking your water before you go to the doctor. So that way you actually have urine. And if you didn't know, you're actually supposed to wipe with like the cleansing wipe if you have a vulva before you do the urine sample. So don't just like go and not clean beforehand. You are supposed to clean and then you do the urine sample. So you collect the urine sample. That is one. After that, you'll go into your exam room and there you... depending on the provider, it might be that you collect your own swabs or they're going to do the swabs for you. And they should be doing swabs in 3 places. So they should be swabbing your throat, and obviously with different swabs. They should be swabbing your throat as well as your vulva or your vaginal opening or the tip of the penis as well as your anus. And you might be like, Javay, why would they be swabbing all these areas? Like, I don't do anything. That might be true, but triple site swabbing is the best way to actually make sure that you are making sure there are no STIs in the different areas. Because if you just do blood or urine, you might get a negative result, but you actually do have like gonorrhea of the throat. So that's why we do triple site swabbing. So depending on the person, it might be that you do the swabs or they do the swabs. And then you're going to do a blood sample. And so they're just going to draw your blood. And then those are all the different ways that they're going to actually take samples to test for STIs. And then depending on your doctor, it could look very different in terms of results. Some doctors call with results regardless of if they're positive or negative. Other doctors only call if it's positive. They'll just be like, send you an email or a message through like your patient portal being like, all your results came back negative. Have a great day. And then if it's positive, you'll get a phone call and they'll be like, hey, just so you know, you did test positive for chlamydia. Is blah, blah, blah pharmacy still the correct pharmacy for us to send your antibiotics to? And you'll be like, yeah, or no, switch it, please. And then they will. You'll pick up the antibiotics. And usually for gonorrhea and chlamydia, it's usually between like 5 and 7 days of antibiotics. So you just take those. And so for 5 to 7 days, you're not having sex with other people. I also personally wouldn't recommend engaging in masturbation just because you don't want to like cause any other symptoms to like flare up or develop, especially because with something like gonorrhea and chlamydia, painful urination is one, and no one wants that. So, but you take the meds and then 5 to 7 days later, you're back on the party bus, babes. You are doing your thing. But yeah, that's if you were to go into a medical provider. And it's very similar if you do an at-home test. You are going to still do a blood sample, which it's not going to be as extreme as like actually drawing blood from the arm. Usually it's just like a small prick thing because most of us don't know how to draw blood on our own. You're still going to give a urine sample. And depending on the at-home kit you get, it may have swabs for all 3 sites. It may just have a swab for the vagina or the tip of the penis or the anus. It depends. So definitely do your research when you're purchasing an at-home test. And then you just package everything up as they direct you to, put it in the box, send it back to them, and then they send you your results. So you got a few different options, but it also is important to recognize that there are some individual tests that can be done in different ways. One of those being HIV test. So there are some rapid tests you can do for HIV testing, and those can look a few different ways. Some places do it by drawing blood, or no, that wouldn't be rapid. That's not rapid. They usually do it by mouth, and so they would swab you, and then within like 5 to 10 minutes, they would have the results of that HIV test, and it would either be positive or negative, and then you would know before even leaving the establishment. So that is another option, especially if that is one that you're like prioritizing getting testing for, though I do recommend you get testing for all STIs across the board every time you get tested. But yeah, there is standalone rapid HIV testing as well. But also it's important that when you go in to get tested, you are very explicit and clear on what you want. Because as I've said previously in other videos, if you go in and just say, I want to get STI tested, they are generally only going to test you for syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and HIV. So make sure, and then they're usually not actually doing triple site swabbing. So be very explicit. Say, hi, I would like STI testing for chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, trichomoniasis, HIV, and yeah, and hepatitis B. You can also get STI tested for that and let them know. And say that you want to get triple site swabbed. You have to be explicit because not every doctor is doing it the same way. And with that, if you are at the doctor's office and you're like, okay, well, I learned from a sex educator online, Javeda Bay, that there are actually vaccines available for 2 STIs. Is that something I can get today? This is going to be dependent on your age, because some of them are not. There is like an age range for getting the HPV vaccine, but you would talk to your doctor about it. And if you are within the parameters to get it, both the HPV and the hepatitis B vaccine are a 3 series of shots. So you'll have to repeatedly go back over a stretch of time to get the shots. But once you have them, for hepatitis B, you're immune. You don't have to stress about hepatitis B. For HPV, you are protected against any strains of HPV that can cause cancer. So just consider talking to your doctor about it whenever you go in to get STI tested. But yeah, that's how STI testing goes. It's pretty quick and easy. If that's all you're going in for, it's usually like no more than like a 20-minute appointment, as long as like, it's reasonable waiting time in the exam room. But yeah, it's not too much to be scared of. We're all used to peeing, so that part's easy. And honestly, the most difficult part for most people is the swabbing, because most people aren't used to it. But it is honestly a walk in the park. So yeah. That's the lowdown on what it's like to get STI tested. And maybe, in the future, next time I go, I'll try and record it and actually make a video to show everybody. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel because content. Definitely make sure that you are following me on all the social media platforms because different content. And definitely make sure you're signed up to my email newsletter because if I get booted from any of the platforms, that's where you find me. But yeah, until next time, I'm going to see you later. Deuces.